There's just one big difference. Wernher von Braun didn't become president of the United States, and Kalam became president of India. And with that note, I would like to bring Kalam up here so that he can get his reward.
Friends, good evening to all of you. Friends, I am very happy today because it's a great award. I'm going to talk about the award itself. And so many of you appreciating, I'm very happy. And I would like to thank Dr. Mark Hopkins and the NSS for considering me this award. Now, friends, I have come here to talk to you about the vision, because von Braun is a visionary. So I have worked on what is called the vision. What is the vision? The humanity needs a great vision to forget all the conflicts and move towards the common goal of peace and prosperity for all the global citizens. We visualize the earth of the world, the birth of the world, vision leading to livable planet Earth. This vision will be a greater than any other vision so far envisioned by the humanity. What is that vision? According to me, I am sure you all will agree, space, solar power, key to a living planet Earth. That's the title I am going to talk to you for the next 15-20 minutes. Friends, I am indeed delighted to participate in the 32nd International Space Development Conference at San Diego, California, organized by the National Space Society, USA. My warm greetings to the organizers, participants, special invitees, and distinguished guests. The theme of the conference, Global Collaboration in 21st Century Space, is a subject close to my heart. I am very happy and honored to receive the Wernher von Braun Memorial Award. On 20th July 1969, as you all know, it happened in this country, Saturn V booster injected the lunar module Apollo 11 with 2 astronauts, Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, Dr. Buzz Aldrin, and history was made when Armstrong walked first on the moon. For the whole world, von Braun became a hero of building the biggest booster and fulfilling a mankind's age-old vision of man going to the moon. At that time, I was a young fellow, just entered into a aeronautical profession. You can see that fellow? Can you see that fellow? At that time, I was a young fellow, just entered into aeronautical profession, building a hovercraft and meteorological rockets, small rockets. It was a great surprise and a fulfillment in my mind to meet my hero at that place of my own work, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, where von Braun was visiting at the invitation of Professor Vikram Sarabhai. I became his host. From the time he had landed at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Thiruvananthapuram, until he took off, I was with him for the full day. Von Braun gave a very important lecture at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center Thiruvananthapuram Auditorium, which was full and overflowing, von Braun spoke on the subject outer space provides the greatest challenges to humanity. His talk was, still I remember, outer space provides the greatest challenges to humanity. Subsequently, I met von Braun in the conference hall for discussion on the launch vehicle, particularly on the SLV-3 project, for which I was the project director. It was a very important discussion for me because we got into a serious discussion on some of the technical aspects on my project, particularly L by D, that is the slenderness ratio of SLV-3 rocket system with reference to aerovelocity and sufficient control force requirement. We always cherish the memory of tall rocket engineers' visit to India. I am happy to receive NSS von Braun Award, which is filled with my memories of von Braun and his achievements, and I have the same wonderful feeling today, for which I am grateful to all of you friends. Dear friends, on this important occasion, let me share my thoughts on the topic, space solar power, key to the livable planet Earth. That's the topic. I'm sorry I'm coming in between your dinner. You don't mind. It's a bit serious subject. I am elated that the 32nd International Space Development Conference in San Diego has chosen its theme, Global Collaboration 21st Century Space. This is a topic I cherish, and one that I have already promoted for now nearly 1/4 of a century. In India and abroad, a wide variety of audiences, I have done that. I have been advocating a World Space Vision 2050 for more than a decade in many national and international aerospace forums, structured to enable mankind and formulate and implement. Number one was large-scale societal mission, including space solar power mission, enabled by low-cost access to space, the evolution of a comprehensive space security doctrine, policy and program, expansion of space exploration and current application missions. Such a World Space Vision 2050 would enhance the quality of human life, I feel, inspire the spirit of international collaborative space exploration, expand the horizon of the knowledge, and ensure space security for all the nations of the world. There are many initiatives, potential research studies in India and your country, US, and other spacefaring nations which have now brought together India and US to work on the missions of harvesting energy from space with a pioneering effort taken by NSS. I cherish sharing my perspective with Dr. Mark Hopkins, Chairman NSS, and his team from ISDC in 2010, where I delivered an address on the topic harvesting the solar energy from space. I was glad that by mid-2010, we could sign off an understanding to start up an international SSP feasibility study with the initiative of Kalam NSS Space-Based Solar Power Initiative. We need to set a new direction and pace to accelerate our progress further on this mission. Setting significant milestones amidst the many global challenges, socio-economic as well as political challenges. However, the world today is not the same as it was a few years ago. Every nation and also the spacefaring nation are going through certain socio-economic challenges. There is a limited time and resources available for these nations to give priority for the big missions like space-based solar power satellite. However, the nation have taken certain essential initial steps towards realizing the bigger mission. In India, the need for space-based solar power station was identified as far back as 1993 in anticipation of the emerging global energy crisis of the 21st century. Since then, indeed earlier from 1987, work has been carried out in India on advanced space transportation system design, concepts for affordable space solar power, India's vision to bring down the cost of access to space to less than $2,000 per kg, per orbital kilogram initially. Considering the magnitude of the looming energy and environmental problem, a strong view has emerged that the situation faced by India warrants consideration of all energy options, including the concept of SSP. ISRO has recently carried out some preliminary concept studies on SSP and examined 3 SSP configurations. And ISRO has also welcomed an international preliminary feasibility study and are aware that this would call for a strong and long-term cooperation between institutions, every nation, blended into an international R&D program for SSP. In the USA, in your country, by 1995, NASA took a fresh look at space solar power in the light of several advances made in system architecture and solar cell weight and efficiency, lightweight array structures, and concluded that the technology system of state of art was adequate to establish cost-effective SSP system. I commend the National Space Society for an impressive list of library of documentation on solar power from space. Now, friends, in Japan, throughout 1990s, Japan has made quite significant studies in advancing specific technologies for space solar power system for Japan that has the same population density and hence land availability constraints as India. On 20th June 2009, Japan announced its goal for an operational 21 billion SSP program. In China, I recently visited at their recent international SSP conference in Sichuan. It has been emphasized that the space-based solar power stations are now vital because the rapid economic development in China has brought a rate of expansion in energy demand and that is explosive and unprecedented in recent human history. Similarly, Europe and Russia have great potential and core competence in space technology for participation in the World Space Solar Mission. The energy situation and its influence on development, economy, and quality of life have touched every nation as evinced by the statements of the leaders of various nations at different levels. Each nation recognizing the need is trying to draw plans and enhance research and invest for improving the energy security and independence. While it is important to concentrate on every aspect of renewable energy sources, including terrestrial solar energy, a space community has a great potential to lead to nearly a continuous unlimited energy source. Hence, every nation needs a great vision, bigger than its own people, bigger than the nation, to move the world away from a potential energy crisis in the present century, 21st century. So can we, the space community, now together share our perspective and evolve such a vision that should be greater than any other vision so far envisioned by the humanity. That is the clean energy from space solar power for 24/7. So far, in all known history, the international vision, mission and program have been earth-based, like the areas of food and agriculture, commerce and trade, education and culture, humanitarian, and to mitigate natural and man-made disasters, etc. Can we conceive, implement as a historically first epoch-making happening, a new vision for the international collaboration in space? The benefit from such a great vision shall be tangible to each one of the world's population and bring together all human feelings and thoughts from the most material to the most spiritual, leading to a livable planet Earth through space industrialization. This means a sustainable world where we have to take less from the nature than what we have given to it. Such a mission in space industrialization could start up with an intensely human international mission in the societal critical areas of energy, water, environment, and security, which would expand over the decades and centuries to all other human needs and activities on planet Earth through space exploration and a new order in space through space security. I think there cannot be a greater vision for all the nation other than transforming our terrestrial habitat into a livable planet Earth through a international collaboration in space. From my perspective, I believe that the driving force towards a livable planet is the common threats and opportunities that all nations face. These threats to be livable planet Earth are massive shortages, escalating the cost of the energy, and rapidly depleting fossil fuel reserves all world over. This is among the most serious challenges faced by the world of nations. The global solution to this is achieving energy independence globally, with such a space industrial mission can deliver. It may be recalled that the US National Security Space Office study concluded in October 2007 that the magnitude of the looming energy and the environment problem is significant enough to warrant consideration of all the options to include space-based solar power. This NSSO report also concluded that SSP has enormous potential for energy security and economic development, improved environmental stewardship, advancement of a general spacefaring, and overall national security for those nations who construct and possess the SSP capacity. In second one, global environment degradation and climate change. Among the greatest risks to the environment is presented by massive coal mining, deforestation, overfishing, unsustainable agriculture, mega dams on the rivers, burning coal and oil natural gas said to be the cause of the climate change. But mining for the valuable resource endangers local ecosystem as well. Even though the era of wood has ended, the massive deforestation continues to create a more agricultural land to cultivate more grain for the human as well as livestock for rapidly expanding population. Now, friend, fossil fuels are not the only material that are depleting world over. Rapid technological growth, overconsumption, and industrial development over the last 200 years has resulted in depletion of the world's non-renewable mineral resources. Habitats have been degraded, leading to the loss of biodiversity. In the longer term, the search for extraterrestrial sources for minerals would become inevitable, not just due to scarcity of minerals, but the environmental degradation that has taken place. This leads to space colonization and mining on asteroids and planetary bodies. Now, friends, I am glad that the ISDC 2013 has had talks on the asteroids, living space, space solar power, space settlements, transhumanism, and space exploration. It is clear to us that our planet has to be livable before it can be prosperous, and it has to be both livable and prosperous before we can dream of peace and freedom from the insecurity. The basic and most compelling need now is obviously livability. However, the process of making our now devastated planet livable again, even when supporting a population growth of 7 to 11 billion by the turn of 21st century, is a necessary but not a sufficient condition to obtain prosperity and peace for mankind. Fundamental parameters for prosperity and peace include trade, economics, security, health, and sustained and ever-continuing education of the humanity. These four parameters connect the world with a compounding positive effect, meaning that well-being of one nation on these parameters imply the well-being of every other nation as well. I feel appropriate to make a reference here about the message which I gave during my special address at the Beijing Forum 2012 on 2nd November 2012. I said all nations of the world have in one way or other for centuries survived based on the conflicts, be it national, regional, and global. There is an element of frustration among the nations themselves and the people who would like to live in peace. I have come to the conclusion every nation needs a mission bigger than its people, bigger than the nation. Can the Beijing Forum evolve and present a greater vision where the nation will be busy and committed, work globally and regionally and nationally, resulting into a conflict-free, peaceful, prosperous societies of the world. I had presented in Beijing my experience of evolving one such vision which will unify many nations to come together and work for the sustainability of the earth and the humanity. This was the concept of a world knowledge platform for global action that I shall speak about shortly here as well. How then will space industrialization and space solar power help us to address these larger issues as well? Why space solar power? Once again, I refer to the study of the made here in US that had in 2009 concluded that SSP has significant long-term advantages and is unusual among renewable energy options as it satisfies all the following criteria. Immensely scalable SSP can scale to provide the energy needs of the entire human civilization. As well, enhanced standards of living. Most other near-term renewable options are strictly limited to scalability. A single kilometer-wide band of geosynchronous Earth orbit experiences enough solar flux in 1 year, nearly equal to the amount of energy contained within the known recoverable conventional oil reserves on Earth today. It is safe and globally available and can be safely shared with all the countries. It is steady and assured for SSP is a continuous rather than intermittent power source. It is not subject to the weather, the season, or the day-night cycle. It needs no fundamental breakthroughs in either physics or engineering. To take advantage of these attributes of space solar power, we need to be clear of what we mean by international collaboration for space solar power mission. Successful collaboration. In organization research and what makes collaboration work, the following factors influence successful collaboration and ranked as the most important. Number one is a mutual respect, understanding, and trust. Number two, appropriate cross-section of the members, open and frequent communication, and sufficient funds. Now, friends, I am most happy to note that we have had open and frequent communication these last few years with the appropriate cross-section of the members, and we have established a mutual respect, understanding, and trust. So what is left? I shall now ask you an open question. Is it the only that we have to find sufficient funds? For every one of us know in his or in her own heart of hearts that this is certainly not the case when the two nations like the US and India decide to work together along with the other nation for a livable planet Earth. Lack of optimism funds would never be a problem. For example, India and USA collaborated and launched a joint efforts through M3 Moon Mineral Mapper payload of Chandrayaan-1. This joint effort of ISRO and NASA has succeeded in finding water molecule traces of H2O, H2O and H2O in the first attempt itself. That is a symbol of success of the international collaboration between India and US. So what remains for us to move ahead? This is a tough question and it cannot be any delay in finding an answer. Given the new level of turbulence in the world's political economy, we need to address this clearly, make a new beginning to our proposal for an international SSP mission study that is to be the live and growth into space industrialization and livable and peaceful and prosperous world. Now, friends, very clearly an international collaboration toward such a mission like space solar power as a movement towards a livable planet Earth requires a careful study and analysis of the competitive advantages of the nation to take part in such a global collaborative venture. I define these as the strength of the nation organization that are transferable to another nation organization through a collaborative mission. It is to be noted that nation organization may have many strengths that are not transferable because of the existing regulation restriction imposed by them for whatever reason. In such a case, these strengths are not to be considered as a competitive advantages of that nation organization for the purpose of the meeting the goals of the collaborative mission. The Michael Porter had developed a model for competitive advantage of the nation. I have used this model to examine to examine 6 of the principal spacefaring nations, USA, India, Japan, China, Russia, and European Union, from the perspective of this well-known model. Demand and conditions, then factor conditions, second one factor conditions, and the third one is the related on supporting industries. A fourth one, internal rivalry, strategy, and structure. And fifth one, two other conditions affect competitive advantage, chance, and government policies. I examined at every preliminary level at the core competencies and competitive advantage of the 6-nation group of spacefaring nations, the USA, India, Japan, China, Russia, European Union, comparing multiple variable example, the energy productivity of a nation in relation to its population density. The chart conveys a sense that a subcontinental nation like India, having almost the same population density as a small island nation like Japan, has at the same time less than half its energy productivity. Other nations like France, UK have even lower population densities and higher energy productivities. Which nation then has to be the condition for greatest demand for energy, which is a competitive advantage for the international collaboration. Other technological industrial infrastructure, skills, the factor condition that constitute the strengths in terms of competitive advantage of the nation, organization related to a collaborative mission for space solar power were also examined, and the outcome. I am astonished to find that all the 6 spacefaring nations have almost equal competitive advantages for such an international SSP mission, with the US having an overall advantage. It does seem reasonable to structure the international collaboration on the basis of the real competitive advantage of participating spacefaring nation for the maximum benefit of the ultimate customers, humanity, and certainly not by arbitrary factors that inhibit real competitive advantages for such a mission. Making international collaboration work. How then can we make this collaboration work? We already share a sense of mission, develop and deploy shared mission and goals. We already have open dialogue about why people are involved, what the people have to accomplish. Perhaps this is what has been happening these last few years. We, the NSS and other teams in India, have also built a strong trusting relation through a participatory process. We need to introspect the NSS and Indian organization. Perhaps we have to look at to another important factor, that successful collaboration work best when they develop an effective governance process, for which we have to evolve and appropriate the international and internal dialogue structure. Now, friends, new and immediate steps forward for NSS, US, and India. The most immediate step forward to consolidate and sustain our trusting relationship towards an international SSP mission is to progressively identify a minimum critical mass of a relevant specialist and generalist from the government, industry, and academic institution, say not more than 25 people from 5 to 7 nations with whom we may be already networking. For example, NSS USA India Aerospace Organization may like to identify 25 to 30 experts from spacefaring nations. World Space Knowledge Platform International SSP mission. I am happy to note that NSS has constituted a policy committee headed by Paul Burbos, which recently announced that committee strongly supports the effort to build a new collaboration between US and India and relevant US allies in the areas of affordable and clean energy for use in space and Earth from space and low-cost access to space, and within the larger context of widening the door to human settlement of space and a more prosperous and peaceful world, unquote. To this I may add international collaboration between US, India, and relevant collaborators for the international SSP mission on the basis of competitive advantage of the nation, as I have just described. With this background, can we initiate a mission to create a world space knowledge platform with these selected 25 experts from the collaborators as an international virtual laboratory for conceptual perspective and strategic planning of technical and management system, and bring reality our cherished dream for a livable planet Earth through a space industrialization mission, starting with space solar power and reusable space transportation system. This World Knowledge Platform will become an advisory body for space industrialization. This then is the direction and hardcore group content of what we must accomplish today and in the next few months in the spirit and the name of our visualization, like von Braun and Peter Glasser, whose ideas, hard work have brought humanity to this new level of thinking. This World Space New Platform, which is to be an international virtual laboratory, will take the form of a coalition of leading academic institutions in space and energy, science and technology, one or two in each of the partner nations. Guided and coordinated by the World Space Knowledge Platform's International Advisory Committee, they would be directed towards bringing out an international feasibility study for SSP. It needs to be funded initially as an international cooperative venture with about $4 billion over the next 5 years, with a dedicated spending for developing customized and scalable solutions. Needless to say, each national stakeholder in this collaboration would be required to provide upfront small seed money to be used for starting up such an international SSP feasibility study report. So let us see what the first to sign up are. Dear friends, at this stage, I would like to introduce my young friend, V. Ponraj. He is doing his PhD under my guidance on the topic cost-effective healthcare using ICT through space system. He has worked with me closely in the formulation of a world knowledge platform based on the few of our experience with multiple nations. I asked my friend to give you for less than 5 minutes analysis on the structure of the world knowledge platform and the immediate steps needed for coherent planning and implementation of the world space knowledgeable platform briefly. These academic institutions, one or two in each nation, would thus be sufficiently funded by world governments and industries. The representative of the government and industries being of the World Space Knowledge Platform, International Advisory Committee, and all other operational coordination mechanisms would know exactly what is happening. I trust the answers your question of what would be the source and the use of fund. In this turn, the academic institution would fund and coordinate subscale technology demonstration of the space solar power and reusable launch vehicle system on the ground, air and space. Let me now brief on immediate steps to be taken for the coherent planning and the implementation of the International SS mission. 5 minutes he is going to give a short presentation.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity to present. The structure of the World Space Knowledge Platform for International SSP mission as envisioned by Dr. Kalam is to create the World Space Knowledge Platform for the International SSP mission with the participating spacefaring nations, for example, take India and USA and other spacefaring nations, joining together based on their core competencies identified, and with that vision, creating a international virtual laboratory. It is like an open virtual laboratory where the new knowledges and the systems and the knowledge can be shared, and so that it can take a birth of the new innovations, systems and the products can take birth. So that will focus on evaluation of the integrated design, which will eventually result into the low-cost access to space, reusable launch vehicle, and the space solar power transmission from space. And in addition, there is an advisory committee which can work on evolution of the policy at the governmental level, so that which will enable them to commit the spacefaring nations to participate and to become the partners to the SFC mission. So this committee may also design or a plan to market this SSP mission to the G8 or G20 nations as envisioned by Dr. Kalam. The next slide. Here, the immediate steps forward for international collaboration structure for coherent planning and implementation of SSP mission. Because many nations are working in one way some of the other nations are working in the other way. There are two streams of thought which is prevalent in the space solar power. So if you look at the one side is a low launch cost space missions. This is less than 400 per kg in the medium Earth orbit, and high launch cost, that is $25,000, $2,500 per kg in geosynchronous orbit missions. So if you look at that, the space systems and technologies which is needed to achieve this target, one system of thought focusing on the photovoltaic system at the space solar satellite level and convert them into a microwave transmission and then transmit to the earth. Then the other system of thought focusing on the optical system and light, a visible light wave or laser transmission. Here, these two system of thought somehow needed to have two different type of the launch vehicle technologies. One is single stage to orbit, another one is two stage to orbit. So with the conventional SSTO adopts the architecturally new technologies with the dramatic improvements, efficiency and cost reduction. When we talk about TSTO, it is a legacy 20th century technology with incremental improvements in efficiency and cost reduction. So if you follow these two streams of thought, the mission management will be for SSTO, it is open and collaborative structure and style because it has more industry participation. If you look at the TSTO, it is closed and hierarchical structure and style because it is more driven by the government participation. And which is finally funding is government, the SSTO by government and industry, and for TSTO it is government funding for international R&D. So these two streams of thought have to be driven simultaneously to achieve. That is why you need an international virtual laboratory where a open access is available, where number of institutions can participate, and two streams of thought can be pursued together so that this can be achieved. The next slide, this slide, yeah. So the kind of the working groups formulation which will help the world space knowledge platform for space solar power mission. No, sir. Back. Yeah. So this is, one is technology working groups, and another one is a public policy working group. The third one is the budget and program management working group. If you have three different type of working group to work on this virtual laboratory mission, which can help on the technology working group is one is on the space solar power systems, another one is on the orbital height of the space solar power plants and market locations on the earth. Then third one is the space transportation system, and finally the interest of the spacefaring nations. So these four areas will have different working plan for the mission group A and the mission working group B. So the first mission working group will work on the space mirrors and visible light transmission. The similar way the solar photovoltaic arrays, which can be positioned in the geosynchronous orbit at the 36,000 kilometers altitude through the single large solar power satellites for each nation. But at the same time, SSTO, which can position the satellite at 1,000 to 4,000 kilometer altitude, which can formulate a constellation of solar power satellites, multiple receiving stations in different countries. At the same time, the single SSTO as well as the TSTO, so which can carry the large payloads up to 30 tons and rocket propulsion technologies. And if I look at the other side, small payloads less than 15 tons. So if you look at the interest of each nation, India is interested to work on both the technology, TSTO as well as SSTO. And also USA, India, Japan, UK, they are all interested in SSTO technologies. So if you look at the other area where India, Russia, China and EU interest on TSTO, and USA, Japan, India and Russia, China, they are interested on SSP, solar photovoltaic array in space for large centralized power station. So these two stream of thoughts, so it is the question, is the succeed. That is the main idea, is to formulate the world space knowledge platform and create the virtual laboratory so that the virtual laboratory will enable the institutions and the industry to participate based on their core competencies in this mission and try to push and create the feasibility study so that this can be taken up by the interesting spacefaring nations to finally achieve the mission of livable planet Earth. That is what the structure of the space solar power. Thank you.
Friends, in conclusion, I once again thank the NSS team for honoring me with the Von Braun Award. This occasion has brought us together to rededicate to all humanity our work done so far to the memory of Von Braun and other great space visionaries. We shall embark on path-breaking international mission for space solar power within the ambit of global vision for space industrialization, leading on to a new era of peace, prosperity, and abundance for all mankind. We shall build upon the trusting the relationship we have established and consolidated these last 4 years between NSS in India. We shall now strive to expand this relationship in an organized and well-structured manner, creating a world space knowledge platform with a virtual laboratory of 25 specialists and generalists drawn from government, industry, US, India, along with the other spacefaring nations. Finally, friends, I would like to suggest the following points of action plan needed for realizing the great mission space solar power due to livable planet Earth. 1. Creation of the world space knowledge platform with a virtual laboratory for space industrialization by USA and India and other spacefaring nations. Second, identify the space virtual laboratory partners, minimum 10 nations, with clearly defined mission to draw up a detailed feasibility study report on the International Space Solar Power Mission, supported by definitive subscale technology demonstration of critical SSP and RLV technologies on ground, air, and space, and fully validate the critical concept of the reusability of space transportation system on which the whole mission concept rests, along with the defined period of study with the necessary institutional and financial support. There are choices for space solar power, wireless transmission, including microwave, millimetric wave, there is a W-band, laser wave, or nano energy packs, and visible sunlight deflection through a space mirror approach. In 3 years' time, virtual laboratory for space solar power can bring an optimum, workable, and possible solution, particularly for transportation of space solar power to its terrestrial stations. Within the next 6 months' time, we need to bring out a workable 20-page research document for marketing SSP to spacefaring nation and political level. The challenge in marketing the space solar power to the nation of importance for taking up the mission by joining this World Space Knowledge Platform as a partner. That means space solar power proposal has been marketed to G8 and G20 nations. From Indian side, I can assure you that I can initiate necessary action in consultation with my government. Similarly, NSS can simultaneously work on it and initiate necessary action with the US government so that the International Space Solar Power Mission can be realized through the World Space Knowledge Platform. With these words, thank you once again for honoring me with the Von Braun Award, and the peoples of the world were able to give us this one collaboration. May I wish you all the best. God bless you. Now, friends, 1 minute, I have to go. I would like to take few questions or any suggestion, quick question suggestion from audience.
The services of International Visa Foundation to sponsor your open virtual laboratory for World Space Knowledge Platform on space solar power mission. We will provide a dedicated server, we'll provide the maintenance and upkeep of it for your virtual knowledge platform. This is by the International Visa Foundation as our contribution to your vision and for the entire
Our
humanity.
vision. It's our vision, yes.
Dr. Kalam, I heard that your associate had something to do with healthcare or medical developments.
Healthcare.
Healthcare, well.
The guy is working desk healthcare.
All right,
I am
well-
associated with harvesting solar power, space solar power.
I understand, but we've formed a committee now It's authorized by the executive committee to form a health committee. And the platform sounds broad enough that we might also use it for other development of resources necessary for space, like overcoming the health difficulties of living in space. Would you
Yes,
be
sir.
willing to open up this platform to other channels of knowledge?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we have used for many areas. This World Knowledge Platform has been used the defense area and health area. The Pan-African e-network we have used. So multiple, in my paper it is there.
Okay, very good, because we need to cooperate and communicate about those
Yes.
topics as
Yes,
well.
sir. I noted, yes.
Thank you, Bill. I think we have time for one more question. Excuse me.
I had a question that space has always been related to competition and always been related to egos, that we are the first, we did this first. So what do you think, how hard it is to overcome the ego of the humans that almost everyone possesses, and how difficult would it be in accomplishing this vision?
That's why in the beginning itself I said, we are embarking on a vision, not a national vision, on the global vision, okay? It's a vision for the earth. So that means our ego, our pride, all should be subjected to lower decibels, and we should work hard to how to bring the core competence of multiple nations. Every nation has got a core competence. Imagine India participating in USA. It's a technology, course technology, some of them will be there. But the production and also certain technology development, cost effective we can do at the other countries also. So when they join together, $25,000 per kg, we can bring down to $2,500 by collaboration. If we understand that, then our ego will evaporate. Okay, sir? Thank you.
Dr. Kalam, could we have one more question? I know you're pressed for time, but this gentleman is insisting that he ask his question.
Politely insisting. Dr. Kalam, I'm an adjunct professor at Ohio University. I'm also a video game developer. I'm not a space scientist, but it's been a passion of mine for a very long time. For the past 4 years, I've seen teams of students from Ohio University, 18 to 21-year-old media students, not scientists, but people with a passion for the exact kind of vision you just described to us so eloquently tonight, move from having never heard of space solar power to being able to competently describe it in a very intimidating setting, I might add. It's been an incredible journey for me, and this virtual laboratory that you've just described is something that is extremely, for a video game developer, for someone who has been passionate about
glad.
both virtual worlds and the world we live in here, it's a beautiful concept, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Actually,
and
I
we would love
want to
collaborate.
tell you, my dear friend, the youth power, particularly the ignited mind of the youth, is the most powerful resource on the earth, above the earth, and under the earth. So
Thank you.
I believe the youth power and the virtual laboratory needs a lot of youth mind, young mind, knowledgeable mind. Definitely we can accelerate the program, okay?
Thank you very much. It was inspiring to hear you speak.
Dr. Kalam, thank you very much for honoring us. Thank you for acknowledging global collaboration in space. Namaste. Thank you so much. Yes, you can. I know you have some place to be. Oh, what an honor. What a true honor. Thank you, Dr. Kalam. When Dr. Kalam acknowledged global collaboration for space, you touched my heart. Thank you, thank you. That's truly what it takes to become a spacefaring species, is the fact that we really need to collaborate on a global scale and become something other than what we have been in the past, turn a new page for humanity. And on that note, I want to bring somebody very special to the stage, somebody I think that provides leadership for the whole human race. And Mr. Rick Tomlinson, I have something to honor you with. You didn't expect this, did you? Get on up here, come on. Dr. Rick insisted on
Yeah, right.
being honored in this regard, and I'm so glad to do so. Rick, would you care to say a few words for the audience?
Yeah. Take that, Howard. Sorry, kidding. I understand. No, I enjoyed the speech, sir. It was amazing. And, you know, we're always going to have egos. We're always going to have passions. We're always going to have people who think they have the right solution. But if you can harness them towards a central goal, as you're speaking, I think we have a great deal of hope for the planet and the species. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much. We have a very special guest this evening, somebody that has sponsored our event. Sandra, would you care to come up? From Space Canada, let me welcome you, Sandra Papatillo. Well, that's how we say it in San Diego, but Sandra Papatillo.
So bad, you have no idea.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Pupatello, and I come from Canada. And I'm here representing Space Canada with the founder, George Dietrich, who is sitting here at our table with Dr. Kalam. We're delighted to be sponsors of this evening's gala. Let me just say that in Canada, Aboriginal Canadians have long said that we borrow the earth from our grandchildren. So if that's true, then the notion of what Dr. Kalam brings us tonight is something that we have to embrace. I have a feeling that he may be speaking to the converted tonight because everyone believes in your message this evening. We're just delighted, too, to get a little bit more invigorated after this evening's speech, to go back to the places we come from and start talking to the people who can make decisions, who will make a framework like this come alive. So we were delighted to see this afternoon the young Indian students who were here following Dr. Kalam, eyes wide open, probably dreaming. And I know they're here in the audience this evening. And I think they're going to say to us when they reach adulthood, you mean you had the technology and you could have done this livable planet? I think we know it's a responsibility for us to bring it forward, and it's a matter of finding the way to do so. So Dr. Kalam brings us that kind of vigor and passion, and we're delighted. So on that regard, and just before we lift off for takeoff into space, let me just say, on behalf of Space Canada, we're delighted to be sponsoring this evening, but also wanting to partner, bring the Canadians along with you. Canadians like Canadarm, Dexter, things that you might recognize, and maybe more recently, Commander Hatfield, who brought space to the, Dr. Jameson here, an astronaut in our midst, I must say. Our young women, I think, are going to love to see this astronaut here in our midst this evening, too. You better stand up and take a bow so they can find you now. There she is. There are actually not a lot of people on the planet who had the experience that you've had in space, you and Commander Hatfield, who brought Twitter to space. Let me just say that. So as one of his followers, then I hope you might join at Commander Hatfield to see those photos of space. If you haven't seen them, they're marvelous. Dr. Kalam, thank you for what you've brought to invigorate this audience this evening. Thank you.